Hi, I'm Jack Gatlin, and welcome to Beyond the Bar with Jack and Brandon. Welcome back to Beyond the Bar with Jack and Brandon, and this week's episode, we are truly at a bar with three lawyers and a smart guy.
The least smartest at the table.
So we are at one of the cooler establishments that's opened in Covington in a long, long time. Without further ado, I want to introduce you all to the owners of this wonderful establishment. Fire away.
So Brad Bonds, co-founder of Revival Bottle Shop, and my business partner Shannon.
Hello and welcome.
Shannon Smith. Now, come on, we want full names. We're full
yeah.
selling here.
So Shannon Smith, co-founder here at Revival, attorney and vice mayor for the beautiful city of Covington.
And where is Revival Bottle Shop at here in Covington?
We're 614 Madison, right next to Knowledge Bar, across from Ripple in the Hannaford.
So today is our first remote one, and we've had some technical difficulties. So we're taking the opportunity with the technical difficulties to actually walk around and be a little more active than before. Brad, do you want to give a real brief just tour of this facility?
Yeah.
All right. Show us what's...
We can take a little walk.
Show us what's going on here.
So really another person's trash is another's treasure here. So just to start off with like one of the worst bottles we have, I guess. We're selling, well, it's not sold yet, so we're not selling anything, but we have a Mai Tai cocktail mix from 1981. And so this would be a bottle that typically would end up at Rumpke Dump, and we're literally turning it in from the trash can to treasure. And so it says 1981 on it, and so someone's gonna come in here at some point and want a birthier bottle, but not a ton of money, or a white elephant gift or something funny to give someone. And so we started our price here at $19. Probably not worth that. We'd come down to 10 or 15. So you can negotiate here, just pointing that out.
He's already playing his hand, and everything's up for negotiation.
My shirt's for sale. This hat.
Hey, we already heard the tip jar that you sold the tip jar.
tip.
Poor bartender.
Yep. We sold our tip jar, and now it's a pre-prohibition pint box that had a bottle in it jar. So,
all right.
But yeah, everything here is for sale. You can buy the shelving. We'll just finance you. But no, we're definitely looking for bourbon, and so bottles like this you can find here. This is a Kentucky 1996 Maker's Mark. We actually have it on our bar downstairs, which brings me to tell you we do new and old history tastings, and so this particular bottle you can actually taste it versus its expression from today for only $20. So it's really cool. You can kind of get in the game and at least try these things, and then if you do like it, we have it for sale. So these are, the makers are some of our favorites. We actually have a pretty wide selection of them. The ebb and flow in here is really incredible, and we buy from the public, so we're kind of like the American pickers of liquor, and then we sell to the public. And so you never know what's going to be in here. I wake up in the morning and never really know who's going to come in. People come in with boxes and don't even call us. So you could be here today, and tomorrow we'll have something else open or for sale. So.
You got a lot of cool Maker's Mark bottles. Obviously, Maker's Mark seems to me one of the, bourbons that people think of as bourbon, right?
Oh,
like
yeah,
a lot
for
of, and what's really cool about Maker's Mark is through the years is you see here, you have, they always do the specialty bottles either for UK, Keeneland, Churchill Downs. I see a couple really oddball ones down there. So is that like a Coach Brooks?
Yep, we got a Coach Brooks from 2009. There's this is from 2002. I think this might even be like the 9/11 bottle.
That's cool.
And then you have another Coach Stoops football bottle. You got a Joe B. Hall. There's even a this is the Affirmed, and we do have a Secretariat as well.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And so just a lot of fun here, and also to point out on March the 11th, I believe, we're going to have Molly Wellman here, and she's doing a new and old history tasting of gin, Canadian whiskey, and also Maker's Mark. So you can join and be told the history of Maker's Mark by Molly Wellman. So
That's awesome. And now it looks like we're getting into some really old stuff.
we are, and I will point out this: so you can come to our shop. You really don't even have to spend anything. We'll give you a water. We just want you to see it. But just to let you know, we do start our sales off at $1, so you can get something and take it home here, and get something old and make it new. And so
What are those
little swizzle sticks, little stir sticks from back in the day.
Yeah.
But we're bourbon heavy, but there's vodka horns here to just about anything you can think of. There's a little gin, half pint. We have a Seagram 7 like pump device that you could maybe attach it to your bottle and pump it. There's all types of fun. You never know what's gonna come in. We can go down another aisle. This one's pretty neat. We have some airline bottles. This is actually from American Airlines from like the 60s.
Yeah.
So something like this costs around $50, or that's what we're asking. And so you can take a little piece of history home from an airline.
Would probably been in an era where they would have given you that bottle on American
Oh, yeah.
Airlines in
Yep.
coach.
And then this one's really cool. The Bandiff airline is closed, so they're not even open anymore. So we have discontinued airline minis. And this is a really neat bottle. This is an Evan Williams, basically Heaven Hill bottling. It's their 200th anniversary from 1983. And so this is completely like sealed, you can see. And cork's still good. The fill on these can drop a little bit just because the air gets in there and it evaporates through the cork. But you can see it's nice and clear. And so this is a 7-year 90 proof. So this was barreled in the 70s and bottled in 1983. And so bottles like that exist here, and we're asking $500, but you can make me an offer and take it home today. So we're like a foster home for high-end things. So we're not a museum; these are to be sold. Here's another Heaven Hill super special bottle. This was for Mary and Mike's wedding. I have no idea who they are, but it's from 1983, and basically the average person couldn't just get this label. So I would say someone had to be close to the distillery to even get it, but this is a really rare Heaven Hill from 1983. It's still got the tack strip. They stopped the tack strip in 1984. So really cool, just piece of history. There's not even there's a barcode up here, but they put the barcode down here now. So this would have been one of the first barcodes to check it out, basically at the grocery store.
So where do you get these items from? I mean, how are you accumulating all this?
That's the easy part for us now. We've kind of created a monster here. So like the getting of I basically breathe air and can spend our money pretty quick. So we're really picky on what we purchase, and so I'm really looking at all these bottles as baseball cards, and I want the old ones.
Right.
So I want the Mickey Mantles and the Hank Aaron's, and the Joe Burrows that are being released now haven't won any Super Bowls yet, so they're not really on my radar. But we do try to have something for everybody. So, we do have like Eagle Rare and Blanton's, and you can come here and just get a regular bottle. The downfall, just to point out, we don't really deal with distributors, or we haven't. So we haven't really got an allocation. So we're buying something like this off the public, selling it to the public. So I'm asking 109. We'd probably take $90 for it, but just know that I didn't get this for $25. So we definitely paid someone more than what they paid at a liquor store for it. But I feel like we're the final frontier of liquor, and so you have to have people are at different stages, and they don't see these old bottles yet because they don't understand them. And that's what's fun about the bar is we're kind of taking you to the final frontier of booze for $5 on the bar.
Sure.
And then that's how we're selling these bottles. So, but at the end of the day, when somebody wants Eagle Rare, that if we don't have it and that's what they want, I want to make a sale. So
let's tell me one of the things you're proudest of in this collection here.
And
I know it's not a collection, it's all for sale.
Yeah, so here on the other side, this is a really big deal we're working actively. Some bottles take seconds for us to acquire. So this, for instance, is a Stag, George T. Stag bottling of Broad Ripple, and it was barreled in 1917 and bottled in 34. And the reason I know this is because we got 2 of them, and we opened one of them, and so you can see in here, it says George T. Stag right on the tack strip. But to get this bottle out, you have to rip it out of the box. So this is really cool. Our oldest bottle here is a Cedarbrook Plankton. And so if you've heard of Kentucky Owl, that's also one of their brands. It's a McBrayer brand. And so we're friends with the McBrayers. Any of their new releases, you come here to pick it up. And so that led to us getting the opportunity on this. And so this bottle took 3 years of building a relationship with someone to be able to purchase it. And it was distilled in 1902, which is really tough to see for even me, but it's right there. And then it was bottled in 1915. And so super cool bottle. It's pre-prohibition. The fill's a little low, but as you can see, it's like almost a red hue, so nice and clear. If this bottle was filled like way high, I would consider it to be fake. So this is in line with what you want to see. It also came with a little tube, so you can see how the label kind of got ate away by the tube, but super incredible. We're working on a deal with a lot more of these, so get used to seeing this here. I'll say that.
So, Brad, my question is, you said like the fill.
Yeah.
Where do you think the original fill line was compared to where
Probably
it's at?
right up in the neck, I would say. Like, you know, right. It's probably lost about 2 ounces, maybe 3. So right there.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Just evaporation, I'm taking it?
Yeah. Yep. Over time, because there's a cork in there.
So it's the same as what happens in the distilleries when they're in the barrels.
Yeah, pretty much.
What's the angel share or something?
Exactly, and it's going to represent what it was back then. It doesn't age anymore in the glass, but I do look at these bottles almost like a bowl of stew or chili. When you make it the first day and it's okay, and then you eat it like as the week goes on, it just gets better because it kind of sits in itself. So they don't really age in the bottle, but they do have like just, that's, you know, 100 years worth of marination. So yeah, it doesn't get any better. I love these old time capsules, and I have this one in my hand. This is a 1926 to 1916 old granddad. And so your basically bartender back in the day was the pharmacist, and so you had to have a pharmacy prescription to be able to get this. And this one's really incredible. It came with the box. So it's kind of like old toys. People want the box and everything that comes with. So this is pretty well intact. Really cool piece of history. Folks ask, what's it worth? Well, it's worth what your Amex says it's worth. And so we try to be fair to who we buy from, and then we try not to be a museum. We would have over 10,000 bottles here if we were a museum. So we sell this stuff. So this is a lot of fun. There was a fire at Heaven Hill in 1996. What makes this really special, it's a 1986. So then that is the year this was distilled, and this was bottled in 1996. So this actually survived that fire, and it's here for you to drink. We actually have the brother of it open on the bar downstairs, so you can taste this before you buy it. There's also another Heaven Hill, and then a Heaven Hill from 1978, I believe, and that's a quart, and it's the last year they did the quart before the metric system switched to the liter and the 750 milliliter. So that's a really cool bottle, 8-year, but the tax strip on the side says 1969, so it's a 69 to 78, so it's actually an 8-year. So a lot of times back in the day, they under-promised and over-delivered. It says 8, but it could be a 9, 10, or 11, 12. Bourbon was in a glut, and so they kind of under-promised, over-delivered, whereas today, if it says an 8-year, is it really an 8? I don't know. So they're kind of cutting corners.
Cool.
So, but yeah, lots of fun. It's ever-changing. It's like I said at the beginning, another man's trash is another's treasure, and things live on. So
you got 3 floors here.
you got it.
So this is your vintage floor. And when we first sat down, it was the vintage bar. Let's walk back over to the vintage bar, because I think that's really cool, because you are creating an opportunity where people can sample these products. And you do 1/4 ounce pours, which I think is really cool, because a normal pour is probably a 2 ounce pour?
Most bars make you do a 1 or 2 ounce, and then they want you to drink a lot and be irresponsible, really. So I feel like here you can try up to 10 things if you want, and it's only 2.5 ounces you're having at that, which would be a traditional pour maybe at another bar. And then you could even grab like a mixed drink or a beer and still be responsible and get home safe.
Right, so like right now you've got on your vintage bar,
Yeah,
you've got opportunities here for someone to sample a 1/4 ounce pour. The oldest thing up there is 1934.
We have a real big oddity, never seen one, but we open rare stuff. So this is a sherry from Mexico. It's a habanero sherry from 1934, and on the label, it's kind of tough to read, but they started messing with the spirit in 1922. They did something else in 1926 or 1928, and then it was bottled in 1934. And so this is one of our more expensive things. It's $20 to try it, but I've never seen this in my life, and for me to be this deep in the game and not to have ever even seen a photo of it is pretty incredible. So I'm on a quest personally with Shannon to taste the best thing we've never tasted. And so whether you realize it or not, when you come here, you're kind of on that quest with us. So,
but again,
super
something
fun.
that's over 90 years old to sample it for $20.
I mean, you're in New York City, Chicago, LA. That could be $300, $400, $500. So basically, you can come to our city, stay at one of the nicest hotels in the state of Kentucky at Hotel Covington.
Absolutely.
You can come here, have a really good time, go to Jeff Ruby's, go to some other really nice restaurants here in Covington. You could go see a Bengals game. You could buy a used car and then drive home and save money. So we're literally running a charity almost.
So what are tell us the plans? Tell us the plans for the third.
So we're looking to do some membership lockers,
Yeah.
also like a kind of like an event center too for the community. Get some master distillers in here, do some ticketed events up there. Downstairs, just to throw it out there, you guys don't have to pay to rent us out. You can throw a birthday party or a networking event. As long as we're not closed to the public, and you get a bar tab, we don't charge for events. But upstairs there would be some kind of a charge to do it. Not sure what that is yet, but yeah, we're actually getting construction quotes and locker quotes as we speak, and we're shooting for May to open that up. So super excited about it.
So my question, or not so much a question, but if you could, because honestly, I was shocked. We were here, I think Shannon was at Northern City Bar Association event, and I think you were pouring a 2002 Buffalo Trace, and then you were doing like a current one. So we all know Buffalo Trace, it's like $30 fit, mainly people like me, that's what I'm going to use to make an old fashioned or something. So when you're like, 2002 Buffalo Trace, I'm like, okay, I'll try it. It was darker in color, and it was
Phenomenal.
It was as smooth as like a 12-year Weller. So why? I don't think people would know why is that. It's still Buffalo Trace.
So I think they're kind of cutting corners. It all starts with the trees. In the early 2000s, when that was bottled, you figure that was barreled in the 90s, and so the trees back then were just older. The process of the trees of processing them into a barrel. Sorry, I just drank this. It's pretty salivating. They would put the staves outside for 5 or 10 years to season in the air, and now they put them in a kiln at 130 degrees for 2 weeks. And then I would say the trees now are 20 to 40 or maybe 50 years. Back then, the trees were probably 30 to 100 years old, way older trees. Also, I would say too, the fire that they used now is a blowtorch. So we all like to eat meat. I would say if you have a charcoal grill, a Weber propane, or you do a wood fire, you're gonna have a different steak. You don't even have to put seasoning on it. So really every part of that process, it's like your grandma's recipe. If you have her recipe and you try to go to Kroger to remake it, every part that you do changes it, and the end experience is just different than what you remember eating. And so I'd say bourbon or all these spirits are really the same way. And so it's so neat for people to come in for a reasonable price and experience it, because just like people, these bottles, you have a perception when you see a label, and until you smell it or you taste it, you just don't know. And so long story short, it was just harder times back then, and better ingredients, and just better everything about it. So it's like a Papa John's commercial, it's just better.
They put more time in it. They weren't trying to mass produce.
There's no computers either. So like a master distiller now is following a computer. They're doing bigger batches. They want consistency. Back then there was no consistency. There were smaller batches. There was no computers. The grind was a lot harder. It was just a harder time to do business, but we had no other way. Whereas today, they only have one way, and they have to meet, what investors want to see. And, bourbon's popular now, so they're like cutting corners on, making things a little softer and easier. And I think the softer and easier is, the product you get, it's just not as good.
So let me ask you another question, because I'm just thinking of unique things I've seen. So one time I'm sitting down in my study, I'm actually, I think, sipping a bourbon, and my mother-in-law, I think, was the one that got me interested in Garden and Gun. So I open up this, because few people get magazines anymore. So Garden and Gun, I open it up, and they're doing bourbon in the South. The first stop, I see Shannon Smith, Brabant's Revival, Covington, KY. Garden and Gun is in Covington. I mean,
it's pretty cool, man.
Tourism. I mean, do you get a lot of people from out of? Do you get a lot of tourists here?
Oh, totally. We've been really blessed with the Beeline and Meet Northern Kentucky. The government of Northern Kentucky is trying to make this the start of the Bourbon Trail. So they're giving them a lot of money to bring in contributors like Garden and Gun. We've been in Wall Street Journal, National Geographic, New York Times, London Times. We've been in every bourbon magazine. I mean, all really because of the Beeline. And we do have a cool thing going on to complement that. But yeah, man, we've probably got multi-millions in free advertising from this awesome community. And I mean, it's not only us, it's all the restaurants here and the distilleries and the other bars too are all kind of in the fold of that. So.
Well, I think that what I've noticed, and Shannon and I talked about it, the more we do as a state to encourage the ability for you to get bottles, us to sell bourbon, buy bourbon, bring it in. At the end of the day, it brings people in, and when people come in, they spend money. They go to restaurants, they eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and it seems like bourbon seems to be, one of those things that can put Kentucky on the map. We got horses, we got bourbon. It seems like things that people enjoy.
100%, man. At the end of the day, I don't look at anyone as competition. We have a really fun thing going, but we don't even have food. So like, you can't stay here too long without getting hungry, So no, it's I would say.
But you are going to do that deal next door, though. I think
we do. You can order food from Ripple and have it brought over. So we do like you to hang out. In fact, you can bring any food you want from your house up here, and have a little picnic. So.
Well, actually, that's a good thing. I mean, I think people like it when you can come in and it's like, hang out, and the kids, okay, bring the Jimmy John's or whatever in, and mom and dad are going to sit there and have a drink.
Exactly. Yeah, we love to see it, and bring something from another restaurant in and support the community. So
what inspired your passion for this?
I went down a rabbit hole with bourbon myself. I know Shannon did too, and so the final frontier of bourbon is vintage bourbon, and then you can't get that without vintage spirits. And so just tasting the old whiskey, but then old rum and tequila and gin and the sherry I just showed you, it's just fascinating. Like, there's nothing you can consume that's older than you. Nothing stands the test of time. Our parents were taught and grandparents were taught to age wine, and it's been complete opposite. 80-year-old guys and girls I meet, I'm like, I'm 43, you should have drank that wine when you were my age, now it's vinegar. And then they're looking at, this Jim Beam bottle or whatever, like, well, how can that be good? It's like, well, that has a higher alcohol percentage, and it's all about the fill and the clarity, but most of the time, these stand the test of time because of that. And so it's been a fun ride, and I don't know, probably 10, 15 years ago, just started tasting it, and I'm like, holy cow, I think other people would like it. And I got to visit some bars in these major cities that were charging like 20 times what we charge, and I figured we can just do it cheaper and better than them. So here we are.
So I have a question. When I open a bottle, and it's a good bottle, and I don't want to just down it over the span of a month or so, does bourbon go bad once you open it?
Each bottle's like its own time capsule. I would say the vintage stuff, the lower the proof, depending upon where it's at in someone's house. Like, if my parents live in Philly and yours in California, where was that for 50 years? You know what I mean? And then was the top totally put on the bottle? Where's the fill? Where's the seal? But I've noticed once you open a vintage one, it might be the best right then immediately, and then kind of fall off. Or, I look at new bourbon as it has like a neck pour. You get the neck pour, you're like, it was okay. And then in 2 weeks you revisit it and you're like, wow, air's got in there, it got prettier. But to answer your question, each bottle individually, there is no shelf life after you open it. I would just recommend, like, if say you're buying a bottle and every year that it's your birthday, for the next 10 years you want to have a 2-ounce pour. Once the bottle gets about halfway, put it in a pint, and then put it in a half pint. Put it in smaller containers. The less air, the better. I've also had some folks tell me they put glass marbles in there, and so when you put the marbles in, it raises the fill. And then as they drink out of it, they add more marbles to it. There's a wine, I'm looking down here like we have it down here, but you can put some kind of like gas that you can use to like keep wine a little bit longer in a bourbon bottle that you want to keep. But things here, that's another thing to point out. I would say any competitor of us that would be in a major city that does anything like this, I would, willing to bet like a bottle like this gin from the 40s, we opened this about 2 months ago, it's almost gone. In New York City, they probably opened this in 2004, and they want 150 an ounce to try it, and it's probably oxidized by now. So like every single thing up here has been open less than a year. So not only are you trying it at a very approachable price, you're drinking it at the peak of its performance. So we're literally changing the game and putting the game upside down on its head. If the local public knew how special this place was, there'd be people sleeping outside to come in every day. Like, so the word needs to get out. Like, you know, I think the biggest misconception here is like, it's a white collar place. They have vintage booze. Absolutely not. Like, you know, we're doing neat pours for $3. Downstairs, our pours start at $2. And then my most expensive thing in the whole place is a $60 pour of William Heaven Hill. That's a $1,500 bottle on secondary for a half ounce. So, you know, you go to a lot of bars, just a basic bar can have over $100 pour. So for our majority of our stuff's under $20. So like your money goes a really long way with us, and definitely want you out there to know that.
So what's inspired you for all of this, Shannon?
So originally it was about the community. I was interested in bourbon in law school, and was introduced to Ed Blay, who's kind of legendary, was at Cork and Bottle, and he ended up starting his own brand and introduced me to a whole lot of people and introduced me to this guy, which is how we got connected. But originally it was just the community, and now it's become about the stories behind the people that bring the bottles in here, which is pretty incredible. That and when the law passed in 2018, it was a huge business opportunity. It essentially, in my eyes, legalized an illegal secondary market, and we were able to not only profit off of it, but the state got tax dollars. So business and community, I would say, that's it.
So alcohol historically throughout the whole nation, but certainly here in Kentucky, is highly, highly regulated. Mm-hmm. It seems like with the whole 3-tier system, you know, it's very odd to me that when you go to a distillery at Buffalo Trace or Maker's Mark or wherever, and they actually can't direct sell it to you, that they're, I guess, selling it to a distributor who then sells it back to their gift shop to be able to buy it there. So when you say the law changed in 2018, explain to people what changed and now how the open or the resale market is legal.
Sure. So in 2018, essentially, people like you watching can come into a shop like ours and sell your bourbon or your spirits or anything like that. And right now there is a 24 per person per year limit, which we have to abide by when we buy, and the individuals do as well. And right now we're actually advocating to change that.
So the 24 per person per year limit, is that per store? So how do you track that? Like, how would the ABC and the state have any clue whether someone sold 500 bottles or 24 bottles?
I don't know if they track it, but we're required to report it. So every single person that comes in here, we get name, address, phone number, we have to get a bottle description, and we have to share how many we purchased from that person. So we have an internal sort of spreadsheet that we check to make sure if we purchased from them, when did we, has it been a full calendar year, and that's how we kind of proceed forward. But it's a massive amount of work to do this legally, and I don't know that everyone is, but that's how it's supposed to be tracked. Is the ABC gets those reports and they'll take a look and they can potentially do an audit.
So what's the argument of 24? I mean, that just seems like some random number.
We agree.
I mean, what are they? I mean, there has to be some purpose behind 24 bottles.
So
2 cases.
That's what I was going to say.
2 cases?
Yeah, that was the only thing that I could come up with was
Like,
2 cases.
Beyond that, you're a bootlegger? I mean, I don't know. Was there some tie to federal criminal law on that or something? It's just interesting.
No, and every time that we've asked anyone, even the legislators that created this, they couldn't really articulate it, just that they didn't want to create what they called a 4th tier. But what we shared with them is that there was not a 4th tier created. That the secondary market's always been there, even before the law. They just had the foresight to pass legislation to monetize it so we could get tax dollars that would otherwise not come to the state. So right now, for example, if an estate sale company has over 24 bottles or anyone has more, we can't buy it. So what happens, we can buy at least 24, but usually they want to go to someone that they can sell their entire collection to. So what they'll do is they will sell it either illegally, well actually they will sell it illegally, or estate sale companies have been pouring it out and selling the bottles themselves instead of what's in it. So that's why we're advocating to change it, because it doesn't make sense. There's literal, and we were talking about this the other day, there's literal Penske trucks full of bourbon. It was in a New York Times magazine, illegally put in trucks and driven across state lines, and those bottles could be here. And we've yet to find a reason why they shouldn't be. The 24 for us is arbitrary, and a huge shout out to Senator Schickel and Damon Thayer. They both supported House Bill 611, which is before the legislature right now, and thankfully Kim Banta picked it up and put it out there, and we're hoping that it passes and we get rid of the 24 and we're able to ship. We're the only tier right now that can't ship as well, so. Yeah.
Just to piggyback off what Shannon was saying too, like the integrity of our bottles, folks ask like, how do you know if it's real or not, or like, where did it come from? So what's neat is every single deal we have to do here on our premise. And so each bottle we've purchased, we have to get your driver's license. So like, if there was ever integrity question about a pappy or something being fake, we can at least have some recourse to go back, to figure that out, because, the last thing I want to do is ever sell a bottle that might not be real. And then I feel like we could lose our business because of it. So it is, I do like that part of it, because like, as I look at all of it, I'm very confident that what we have is what it is. So.
And as far as Pappy goes, I think anything from Buffalo Trace is the most highly sought after, and I would say the most copied.
Yep.
And we actually talked to Buffalo Trace's counsel about how we can help, because we know that they were concerned about potentially compromising their product because some stuff went down that we all know about. And one of the things I know that we do here is we won't buy Pappy from just anyone. We either have to personally know you, or you have to come in with an actual receipt for us. Otherwise, we don't buy a lot of it. We just won't.
Our margins are so horrible, and why even risk it? So I'd rather buy bottles like this because it's better than Pappy. So like this is Stitzel-Weller from the 80s, and Pappy used to be made with Stitzel-Weller and they ran out of it. And so this tastes better anyways. But at the end of the day, if someone's hard up to only get a Pappy, it doesn't matter about this. They want what they want. And I think we've all been there with like phones. Like if I have the best Droid ever and you want an iPhone, it doesn't matter. Or if I have a BMW and you want a Mercedes, it doesn't matter. So like the bigger we get, we will have like a line of Pappy here, but it'll be vetted pretty incredibly. So,
great.
By the way, you can try this real Pappy for $20. So.
Real Pappy.
Anything
Pappy's
else
Pappy.
you want to share with folks on this place, or kind of your business venture here?
We just want everyone to know that they're welcome. It doesn't matter how much money they have. Like, our door's open. We're not a speakeasy. You don't have to set an appointment. I think every speakeasy in the world's overrated, and they don't even have anything special, and you just pay special prices. And so you can have that experience here without paying all that money. And if you're curious about us, we'd love for you to come in and let us give you a fun time here, and maybe change your mind and your perception of vintage alcohol. So
let me wrap up with a couple things. What are your hours?
Too many. We're here a lot. It's 63 hours a week right now. We might change it, but for now it's Tuesday to Thursday, 12 to 10. Fridays we're 12 to 12, Saturday 11 a.m. to 12 at night, and Sundays 11 to 7.
And if I have a bottle of vintage spirits, what do I need to do?
I have a blank checkbook, and I might buy it from you.
All right. So, but practically, call, bring it in. Bring it in. You're gonna look at it.
If you have something, give us a heads up. Give us a call. Give us an email. Give us a text. Give me. A lot of people just come in off the fly and want to sell to us. It makes it really tough to. We do it all day, but if you give me a heads up, I can not waste your time or whatever. If that's something that we don't really need, because I'm pretty picky, so of what we buy.
Blank checkbook, no.
It's semi-blank.
Well, I mean, as a Covington business owner and a member of the Northern Kentucky community, I sincerely want to thank both of you all for what you've done here. I think it's really, really cool. And I know that our firm and I personally have a whole lot of people out there on social media that I hope watch this. And most importantly, come and just visit. Spend an hour, spend 2 hours. You know, the times I've been here, it's a great experience just because you literally feel like you're a part of the museum, and it's so different from anything else out there.
We have really good employees. I try to, it's easier said than done, but I try to treat others like I want to be treated. There's no secret in life. We all want to have fun and have a good time. So, yeah, so come here. We'll tell you some stories. You can tell me some stories, and that's how I learn, is by sitting here with someone and just the winners tell history of these bottles.
Cool.
And not every bottle was a winner.
Well, thanks for taking time with us.
Thank you for having
Appreciate
us.
it. All right.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.